Hi, my name is Alexia, and I'm going to be talking about why climate justice must be social justice for all. So growing up in the US, we're all told to recycle if we care about the environment. Mainstream environmental groups, many that were founded in the late 19th to 20th century by white middle-class lobbying groups, encourage individual actions in national parks as a solution to the climate crisis. However, they didn't take social justice into consideration. These national parks directly led to the displacement of indigenous folks that were protecting and living sustainably for years. These campaigns for recycling failed to mention that only 9% of plastic gets recycled and a lot of it was being dumped abroad. These campaigns helped corporations create and sell more plastic. Currently, 100 corporations are responsible for 70% of emissions, who continue committing mass ecocide and murder, spilling toxic waste, millions of gallons of crude oil, leaving hazardous waste on forest floor. These practices are illegal, but corporations continue to get away with it because their interests are above the law. When addressing environmental issues separate from social justice issues, things like environmental racism are ignored. Environmental racism is the fact that people of color disproportionately live next to polluting industries, leading to extreme health issues like cancers and respiratory issues and death. Environmental justice organizers came together in the 90s to create their own movement, the environmental justice movement, because they were left out of the mainstream movement. To get climate justice, we have to address the systems of oppression that cause them, which include capitalism and colonialism. These are systems that encourage the exploitation of land and labor in order to accumulate wealth. For example, the British colonialists transformed the Malay Peninsula into a plantation economy to meet the needs of industrial Britain and America. This included expanding the demand for cheap rubber, leading to deforestation. And recovery from this damage done to the native ecosystem is extremely difficult. Additionally, these colonial powers created a global infrastructure in which countries from the global north continue to exploit countries from the global south for resources, while simultaneously destabilizing what were sustainable native cultures. Today, indigenous folks make up 5% of the global population, but preserve 80% of biodiversity, so we need to look to them for the solutions. Social justice is climate justice because the root cause is the same. For example, redlining, which has led to the oppression of Black neighborhoods, also allowed extractive and polluting industries in the same neighborhoods through zoning policy. And police brutality, which we think of as a social justice issue, is also an environmental justice issue, with many indigenous land defenders getting attacked by the cops and also getting murdered in countries like the Philippines and Colombia for their work. The climate crisis is predominantly one of the political economy. We can't fight for environmentalism if we don't address how people of color are disproportionately impacted, if we don't address that several corporations are directly responsible, if we don't address that our government continues to support those corporations because of capitalism, and in some cases will literally go to war, such as in Iraq, where they killed over 2 million people in order to get oil. If we don't center social justice in the fight for climate justice, we won't get anywhere. Justice movements like disability justice, racial justice, LGBTQ and gender justice, economic justice, etc. are all extremely tied. With the example of disability justice, a lot of disabled folks are often left out of climate emergency plans. What do? There's a lot of things that can be done. I co-created Start Empowerment, a social and environmental justice education nonprofit that seeks to bridge the gap between education and action, and to educate people, whether that's through formal education, informal education, storytelling, learning from your elders, about these different issues and about the systems of oppression so we can address them and create a new world that is founded on community care and sustainability. I am also an organizer with an environmental justice organization in Austin called Poder. And I think every single one of you need to either join or support a grassroots environmental justice organizations. These are people in frontline communities that are fighting for their lives because they are most impacted by the issues. You can either donate, volunteer your skills. There's a lot of things that can be done in order to support these organizations and support the movement. At the end of the day, social justice and climate justice are not separate. They are one and the same, and we can't fight them separately. We have to fight them together.